Is the camera on? I can never tell if this camera is even working. If the camera's not on, I'll speak loudly so you can hear me. But I think the camera's on. Anyway, all hail the Crimson King. If the camera's not on, we'll just do a ritual of Chud. We got Pennywise and the candles already lit over here. We'll just do a ritual of Chud, and hopefully the camera will just magically be on for the video. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Stephen King's latest novel titled Later. That's right, this book just came out today. It's only about 250 pages. I spent the afternoon reading it. I'm fresh off of reading it, and I got a lot to say about this book, man. A lot to say, because this book was dope. Dope. I loved it. I loved it. And let's get into it. You know, we always review the covers first. Hard Case Crime, they do these nice covers. We got this nice sort of pulp fiction mystery noir painting by one Paul Mann. If you know, Stephen King has also published Joyland under the Hard Case Crime label. And they got that nice pulp fiction cover. And then he also did The Colorado Kid under the crime fiction. You know, I love the packaging of the Hard Case Crime novels. Joyland, Colorado Kid, and now Later. Freaking dynamite. I love it. Another thing is I always, if you've been following this channel, you know I've been reviewing every Stephen King novel in order of publication. We started with Carrie. We've worked our way up to about Desperation and the Regulators. And now we're taking a break. Yeah, this one, we're not reviewing this in order of publication because this one just came out. We're taking a break. We're reviewing this one because it's brand new. I wanted to review it for the channel. I wanted to read it. I read... Stephen King's my favorite writer. He's my mainest man. I mean, when his stuff comes out, I buy it the day it comes out and I read it that day. And so I'm going to review it today too. We're going to break with tradition instead of do the publication order. We're going to slip this one in. Anyway, I listen to the audible.com version also for all my Stephen King reviews. This book was narrated by the voice actor Seth Numerick. He does a very good job. He's got a very young sounding voice, which works well because our story is told from our protagonist, this 13-year-old boy named Jamie Conklin. Another thing about this book that I thought was delightful was Stephen King dedicated this book to his agent, Chris Lotz. Comes into play later in the novel, and I'll show you why. It's pretty clever. The reason he dedicated this book to Chris Lotz, his agent, his literary agent. Just as an aside, and as you know I like to name drop, I name drop in every video. Chris Lotz was also the first literary agent that ever, you know, paid attention to my work. He was the first literary agent that ever read The Forgetting Moon. And he was interested in The Forgetting Moon. He helped me shape and form the plot of Forgetting Moon. I mean, he did a lot of work for me. He's not my current literary agent, but, you know, he did help me a lot with. So I was thrilled to see Chris Lotz's name in that dedication. And in The Forgetting Moon, I also give Chris Lotz some credit. But keep that. That's important later on in the review, that Stephen King dedicated this book to his agent. Very clever. It's a very clever thing. Very clever thing, and we'll get to that. So what is this book about? You know, before we get into that, whenever I light the candles for these Stephen King reviews, all I do is I put up this Stephen King shrine. All it has done is it's opened up a portal to hell within my library. Because if you've watched my other 40 Stephen King reviews, you know that weird, creepy stuff happens in these reviews. So we're going to try to get through this review without any weird, creepy stuff happening in it. As you know, parts of the set have caught fire, weird things have flown through, like weird stuff, like just weird stuff happens. So we'll see if we can get through this review unscathed. Let's get into the review. Jamie Conklin, our main man here. 13-year-old kid, he sees dead people. That's right in the very beginning of the book. I'm 13 years old boy and I see dead people. I was thinking Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense. In fact, Jamie Conklin even says, just like the little boy in The Sixth Sense, I see dead people. And I'm like, Stephen King, he's not really going to just retell The Sixth Sense, is he? He's got to have a twist. He's got to have a twist. And I was like, and he did twist it. I mean, he took this book in directions I was not predicting. And we won't get in, I don't do spoilers, we're just going to get into the setup of the novel and my general overall feel of the novel and what I liked about it. But let me set up this book for you here. Jamie Conklin, he sees dead people. Who is this hot babe on the cover with him, though? She's got a pistol, a badge. She's a cop. She's a New York City cop. But what relation does she have to Jamie Conklin? Well, she is the girlfriend of Jamie's mother. So there's a lesbian relationship between the cop and Jamie's mother, which plays an important role in the story as we go through. Because what happens is Jamie sees dead people. Jamie's mother is the girlfriend to the cop. Jamie's mother is a literary agent. Things aren't going very well for the literary agency. You know, Jamie is being raised by a single mom. Jamie doesn't know where his father is. He doesn't even know who his father is, which is another mystery that needs to be solved. Who is his father? Jamie doesn't know that. Jamie sees dead people. His mother's literary agency is going into the toilet. Things are going bad. The main author that she represents, this guy named Regis Thomas, he writes this series called the Roanoke series. It's like this family drama set in the Roanoke, and it's about like the swamps of the Roanoke. It's like this, and it's, people love this series, and it's her main author, right? And what happens is, she knows that her son sees dead people. He's told her this, and they've come across a few, and he's talked to dead people, and he says things, and so she believes it. And then what happens is, she's running this literary agency. Money's tight. They're going to have to close the agency, but their only hope is this guy that writes the Roanoke series. His final book is coming out. He's like a 10-book series, and his final book is coming out, and it's going to be this huge hit, right? And it's like the bread and butter for the literary agency. And then he dies. 30 pages into writing his final opus, he dies, right? And so now we can see where this is going. I'm a literary agent. The writer that makes me the most money, the writer that's going to keep us afloat and not get us bankrupt is Regis, and he just died. Well, my son talks to dead people. So that's the twist within the first few pages, right? Writers out there, you know, I always give writing advice. If you want to learn a little bit about the business side of writing, Stephen King goes into some pretty good lengths of describing the process of getting an advance and collecting royalties, and how an agent plays a part in that, how an editor plays a part in that. So if you want to get a good schooling in just how agents and literary agents and book editors and how New York publishing works, this has got a pretty good, wrapped in a really cool story. This really will educate you just on that aspect of writing. Because what happens is, her main author's dead. Her son can talk to dead people. So her and her girlfriend, the badass cop, the super hot cop, they take Jamie to the dead guy's house. And Jamie talks to the dead guy. And they get the dead guy, Jamie gets the dead guy to outline the entire plot of the final novel. So his mom records it, and she takes that, writes the novel herself, and they get millions of dollars. The agency is saved. They don't go bankrupt. And that's just within the beginning. That's the setup of the story. But what is the story really about? The story is really more about other things. That's the setup. And then there's something off about Liz, the cop, because she's like, oh, okay, this kid sees dead people. How can I utilize this kid to advance my own career in the police force? And so that's where things start to go sideways fast, because she's like taking the kid, kidnapping the kid to take him out to crime scenes where there's dead people. And man, it just spins into holy darkness. It just spins into holy darkness right there. And I'm telling you, man, I loved everything about this. Like I say, I think whenever I light these candles like this, I've opened a portal to hell. Just stuff, especially with the Motley Crue Funko Pops. These guys, they just keep falling. And it's the Vince Neil one. It's the Vince Neil guy that always falls. It's the Vince Neil one that causes all the trouble. I mean, it's this son of a bitch here. Anyway, enough of the bullshit and nonsense. What do I think of later? I hope I set that up for you, and I hope it's a good setup, because all I did was I spelled out the first 20, 30, 40, 50 pages for you. And then it just spirals into darkness. It spirals into all hail the Crimson King. And it just goes haywire bonkers and just nutty gross, just like every Stephen King novel that you love. I think that this is, of all the hard case crime novels, Joyland, Colorado Kid, Later. I think Later is the strongest of the hard case crime books. And I mean, for a 250-page book, man, this thing was dynamite. Dynamite. I loved it. I'm going to give Later an 8.5. And now let's go back to the agent. Chris Lott's The Agent. One of the funny things about this book, if you've stayed here this long, is, you know how his mother, the literary agent, recorded, he talked to the dead author, he got the plot from the dead author, his mother recorded it, she went ahead and finished the novel just so the novel would be done, she could turn it in, collect the millions of dollars. And then she ended up dedicating the novel to herself. I dedicate this novel to my agent, Tia. And I just like, and then the fact that Stephen King dedicated this novel here to his agent, Chris Lott's, and then the main character dedicates, she writes the novel under false pretense, and she's so proud of herself, she dedicates the book to herself. Just freaking, I thought it was cool. And I know Stephen King, I know all of this was planned. All of this was planned. The fact that he put that in the book and the fact that he dedicated this to his agent, Chris. I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. 8.5 out of 10. Later by Stephen King.